Well, I'm Parry MacDonald, and this summer I had a 10-week internship at the Rocky Mountain Biological Laboratory, where I was studying bumblebee foraging behavior on 3 different species of wildflower. So what I did was using the concept of optimal foraging theory, which is basically just a theory that animals will forage in a way that they can maximize their caloric intake while minimizing their caloric expenditure while gathering food. So understanding that, we can kind of apply that to bumblebee foraging in theory. So what I did was come up with kind of a theoretical predicted model for what I expected the bumblebee behavior to look like if they were in fact foraging optimally, and then I compared that to the observed behavior to see if it held up under that scrutiny. And what I ended up finding was that although I was able to come up with a theoretical model where the bumblebees would be maximizing their caloric intake over time and over the amount of calories that they spend obtaining the calories, I did find an optimal model, but the bees were not following it. So they were doing something a little bit different. So what I was able to conclude from that is that maybe optimal foraging theory, like you can use that to an extent while you're explaining animal behavior, but in the long run, behavior is a really complex sort of concept to think about, and if you're just trying to limit it to a little box that's optimal foraging theory, you're trying to fit behavior into that's really limiting, and it's not as realistic of an approach to what you're looking at as it could be. The NSF has a program called REU, or Research Experience for Undergraduates, where they'll fund your research at the location that you apply to. So in my case it was Rocky Mountain Biological Lab, but they have them all over the country for all the different scientific disciplines, really. But yeah, they funded my research, they paid for my travel to get out to Colorado, they paid for my room and board, housing for the whole summer, 10 weeks, and then they also paid me a stipend. So it's a great program. I definitely could have done that research without it. So I was very fortunate to receive that. Well, I guess the main thing that you should be looking at are, like this graph shows the sort of theoretical rates of net energy gain that the bees should be getting based on different thresholds that they might employ. So you can see that the 1 microliter threshold of nectar is the best for all species of flower. And then you can also see on this graph, this is just the mean rates of energy intake per flower species. I had 3 different species of plants that I was using, and you can see that this one, which is a species of larkspur, had a significantly higher rate of energy intake. Like, it offered a lot more energy or calories than did the other 2 species of plant that I was looking at. The purpose of the experiment was to explore work that Graham Pike has done in the past and kind of expound on that. So that'll be helpful knowledge for him to have in his research. And then also other people who study bumblebees and other people who study optimal foraging and that type of ecology work, particularly in Colorado, because that's where I was doing the project.